今回はオーストラリアの住宅価格やばすぎ問題でインタビューしました。日本も一言ではないので最後までご視聴ください。
Hello.
Hello, I'm Emma.
Emma?
Yes,
Okay.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So are you from here?
Yes, I am. Yes.
I want to ask about the house price in here.
Yes.
People struggle to buy house.
Yes.
Are you renting property or?
No, I own my property
Okay.
since 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you manage to buy?
I was lucky enough to inherit money off a relative, and I used that as my deposit. And I didn't have any of my own savings, but I probably could have saved had I been more responsible in my 20s.
2024年の調査によると、オーストラリアの18歳から29歳は毎月同じ額を貯金しても年間$3,924。この貯金額では20年経ってもメルボルンの住宅価格の頭金すら払えない。
Inherited the money when a relative passed away.
I see.
A good amount of money because he owned property and left it to us,
Yep.
to me and my siblings. So a lot of people, that's the only way they buy a house is by inheriting money or getting a handout from their
That's
parents.
only one way.
The main way, yeah.
Anyway. So you were born here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't born here. So what do you think about the people, coming from other countries to here and buy the first home?
I'd say the only way that's possible is if they come with a lot of money for a deposit, or if you go somewhere very remote that's nowhere near the city. There's a lot of I think the government wants people to move out into the bush, so there's sponsorships depending on what skill you have.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think that's the only way is to buy a house. You'd have to go somewhere where it's quite remote
Okay.
or
So-
not desirable. But even the places that didn't used to be desirable are now expensive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So basically, let's say someone who wants to buy a house, maybe $900,000 here, and people need a 10% deposit, which is $90,000.
Yeah, but that still wouldn't be enough, really. No. And everyone's offering more, and also there's such a big shortage of housing that people can have a deposit and they're still getting missed out. Or yeah. I don't know what I'd be doing if I hadn't have bought. I'm very lucky because I have 2 children, so it's terrible. But it's not just terrible for ownership, it's terrible for people renting as well. And it's like everyone likes to blame immigrants half the time, which is ridiculous. It's the government not making policies, and they have a lot of policies that benefit rich old white people.
Yep.
So a lot of people hide their money in property. A lot of the politicians hide their money in property, and they're making a lot of money off their own rental properties. So they don't want to change the rules. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. So the average age of the Australian first home buyer
Yeah.
is 36 years
Yeah.
old in 2025.
Which is quite old.
Yeah. So what do you think about this age? Do you think-
Well, it's terrible. It just means that people who don't have the luxury of living with their parents until they're well into adulthood don't have much chance of getting a home. And they can't save for a home when they're paying a stupid amount of money in rent.
Yeah.
So it's awful. And I feel for a lot of people. It's like, so I don't know the answer, but I know that the government could do a lot more. But the problem is every time the government tries to introduce something drastic, they risk not being voted for, because the people who have a lot of money, the older people in their 60s, are not going to vote for them. So they just lose the election anyway.
オーストラリアでは土地や資産を保有する高齢層が選挙において大きな影響力を持ち、現状維持する政策が支持されやすいと彼女は言っています。
Cons. I don't really have many.
Houses are expensive.
Well, houses are expensive. Cons are new cons as an adult. I'm starting to realise, like, the healthcare system is not doing very well at the moment. But I think these are worldwide problems. I don't think they're specific to Australia. I think since COVID, a lot of things have gotten worse. But generally, Australia is very, very expensive to live. Yeah, food, transport. There's a lot of rules that you don't have elsewhere, like with driving, and it's quite strict.
Okay.
And yeah.
You mentioned about like how to buy property
Yeah.
before. So do you think people should buy a property in remote area first,
I think so. Yeah.
and then generate the.
And generally somewhere with not a great house, but a good amount of land.
Okay.
It's still a bit of a gamble, but if you need to get into the property market, it's probably the only way if you don't have a lot of money.
オーストラリアでは住宅価格が高いため、まず地方の比較的安価な物件を購入し、数年後にキャピタルゲインを得て次の住宅購入に備えるという方法があります。
Capital gain,
Yeah,
right?
because the likelihood is it will go up eventually. That's what people invest in property before they'll invest in shares because it's generally a good bet. But it's still a gamble. But having somewhere to live is important.
That's
But the reason people don't want to move buy in remote areas is because there's no work or there's no infrastructure.
Yep.
But I guess that's what people have to do. But then they end up travelling very far for work, so
Yep.
yeah, it's tough. Plus they don't want to uproot their families. But back, a long time ago, that's what people did. They bought in areas that weren't very well known yet, and then go from there. So like, if you still wanted to live by the beach, you could go spend maybe 200 grand less and go down sort of towards Bunbury or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or you can transfer it to
All right. Thank you so much
Okay.
for taking time. Yeah.
that's okay.
All right,
Thank you.
本日のまとめ。住宅価格の高騰が続いており、特に都市部では手が届きにくい状態。若年層の一部では地方の安価な物件を購入し、将来のキャピタルゲインを狙って次の住宅購入に備える戦略をとっています。土地資産を保有する高齢層が選挙で大きな影響力を持ち、現状維持の政策が支持されやすいとのこと。住宅不足、インフラ圧迫を背景に外国人流入の抑制策を進めています。どの国も同じような悩みを持つのが現状です。